Welcome back to my channel, everybody, and welcome back to another video in the C programming course, the C++ programming course. So, what today we're going to focus on, going to be focusing on declaring some integer variables, storing some values in those variables, and then adding them up together and printing out the final product. So, what we want to do, like always, we want to create a new project. We can run the console apps. Let's say video 2. And we're going to place that in the same solution. We're going to create this project. So what we want to do is we want to build upon what we did previously before. We want to delete all of this. So remember before we started with the directive. So we want to do an input and output stream. So we want to include the iostream. And remember what we did before. This will be convention for us for the future. We're going to be using namespace std. We do nothing else with that. Then we want to create our main function. So it's going to be int main, our parentheses, and we want to create those brackets. So how do we declare a variable? What do I mean by that? So we want to declare a variable. It pretty much allocates some space in memory, and we can store some value in that memory. So our computer has memory that it can refer to, and it can get that value that we want. That value can be 5 or 10 or any number that we want it to be, or it can be a string of letters. It can be a character. But for this one, it's gonna be real simple. We're gonna use integer variables. Integer variables are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, no decimals. So we do not care about decimals in this program. So we will be using the integer variable. Let's write a comment of that. We will be storing the values in integer variables. So what program am I doing? Let's write it up here. So we want to create a program that stores the value 5 in a variable x, and we want a variable y to have the value of 7. Then we want to add them up and print the value and store in z, then print the value. Okay, so how do we do this? We want to declare an integer variable, int, and we have 3 variables that we want. We want x, y, and z. So we're going to declare this as int x equals 5. So what we're doing is we are declaring an integer variable of name x that has the value 5. So we equal it, and then we put our value, semicolon. That's the end of the line. Next, we want to declare another integer variable of name y, which equals the value 7. So we did the first two things. We pretty much have a variable x, and it stores the value 5. That's our first one. And then we have a variable y that stores the value of 7. Now, we want to add them up and store in z. So we're still going to declare it int z, right? But we want to add x plus y. And there you go. There's our 3 integer variables. So we have an integer x equals 5. We have an integer y equals 7. And then we have z, which is x plus y. What's very important is that you cannot have z before y and x, because if I put this up here, x and y at this part of the program is not declared yet. There's no value, there's no space allocated for x and y. But once you have it down here, we have memory allocated for x, and when the computer goes to look in that memory, it finds the value 5. And when when the computer looks for y, it has that value 7. So what it pretty much looks like in this little declaration, it's pretty much saying 5 plus 7. And obviously that value is going to be 12. But we want to print it out. If you remember using the cout function when we were doing hello world, it's the same thing. We want to print it to the screen. So we want to say cout with our operator. And let's say the value x plus y equals. We want to do a space here, and we want to get out of it. Now what we want to do is we want to do another operator, and we want to do z, semicolon. So why did I do it that way? Because I don't want to hard code my value z. I just don't want to put 12 here. Because if I change the value of x here, it would automatically change the value of z. So what this is saying is the value of x plus y equals whatever number is stored at z. So if I changed it to 8, the value of z would now be 15. So let's test this, debug it, and see what prints out. Debug, you can either press F5 or debug. So it sometimes take a little bit. But it's very important to be able to write the code that way so it's not hard coded. And usually when you have input into the coding, when you're asking for a number and not actually putting that number in, it'll be much easier to do it this way, and it's always much better to start this way. So as you can see here, the value of x plus y equals, right, we're up to here, and now equals 15. So z equals x plus y, 8 plus 7. But look at here, what if I change the value of x to 10 and I do nothing with z? We do this one more time, and it should say that the value of x plus y equals 17. There you are. And if you want, just for purposes just to look better, you can do the operators again and end the line, so I can do another print. We can press F5, let it run real quick, and you will see that the value of x plus y equals 17. So not too difficult. I know it's just getting used to the syntax, and you got to make sure you're writing it properly, spacing it properly, and making sure you're following all the proper protocol when writing these programs. Well, that was pretty much just a small introduction into declaring variables and using the correct identifiers. We will get a little bit more into it of what are wrong syntax for identifiers. Identifiers are just these names right here. And we finally learned how to declare an integer variable. Later we will use double variables, so when we want to do decimal numbers. But that's it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe.